Y'all, thank you for coming out. I mean, when Ozzy said we were going to do this, I thought he was inviting me over here for a late lunch. I didn't know we were going to have this many people. Seriously, this is what we're doing. You said it before. This is how we won in 14. I was running against 3 guys and a lady who had all been in office 62 years, and my question was simply, hey, wait a minute, if they were going to really make a difference, wouldn't they have done it already? And in this race, we have a similar problem, but Ozzy has been there all along, and so have several of you. I'm humbled by that. And I'm grateful to God he didn't take him when he had COVID, because we almost lost you then, right? But look at him, you look great, man. You're doing great. You're all the way back.
That's subjective right there.
Well, I just want to tell you, the Bible was the first thing that I received as a senator. And it sat on my desk for 6 years, and I used it. And I also had a plaque that was given to me, not a plaque, it's a nameplate on the front, that was by a body guy who had been with me up close and personal for 2 years. And on the back of it, it said Jeremiah 1:17, 18, and 19. It says, tell them what I told you to tell them, and don't be dismayed in front of them, or I will dismay you in front of them. And so I lived with that verse staring me in the face for 6 years on my desk, along with that Bible. So believe me, it got a lot of use. Y'all, thank you for coming out. I'm going to be very brief. First of all, I want to thank you guys for stepping up and running. I believe so much in term limits. The first thing I did in the U.S. Senate is try to get a term limit bill in there. We're going to try to bring it to the state. But I just want to tell you why I'm doing this. Because this is not in my character to run against an incumbent Republican governor. Nobody's ever done it before. Don't get too excited because we only had 3. So this is not something that's ever been done. But what we're doing is I'm running because I want to give you a choice. When I saw what happened in 2020, when I won that race, and then realized in November and December in the runoff how bad it was rigged, how it was stolen, what the evidence was beginning to show, I filed 3 lawsuits, or I joined 3 lawsuits. I asked several times for a special session, and actually, I know this guy's a friend of yours, but I actually asked for the resignation of Brad Raffensperger. So this is how serious it was. I got very frustrated, and so nothing got done. In February of that year, I told the governor, and I told Mitch McConnell, and I told Trump that I wasn't going to run for the Senate. They said, why? I said, well, I don't feel led, number 1. But number 2, I don't think I can win. Well, why not? You got name recognition. We'll help you get money. Don't worry about that. I said, no, if I have to run Brian Kemp, I'll lose. Why? Well, what we proved in November was to win, you have to get 3 groups of Georgians to vote. Now, more people voted than any time in Georgia history. 5 million people voted. The highest percentage of registered voters ever. And thanks to Brennan and other people like that who are working their tails off to get people out to vote. And we got 5 million. I got more Republican votes than any other Republican in Georgia history. And I lost. Now, we won by 90,000 votes. Even with all the illegal activity, we won by 90,000 votes in November. 480,000 more votes than Brian Kemp in 18. But we were 7,800 votes short of, or a few thousand votes short of the 50% rule. And then in January, a lot of us in the state, particularly in North Georgia, really got concerned about the election process and lost confidence in it and didn't vote. And now we have 2 radical liberal senators representing Georgia in the state. So I told them I wasn't going to run for that very reason. The governor ignored me and basically said, oh, don't worry about those guys. They're my bubbas. They're going to vote for me. Don't worry. Well, I've been out all year in 21 listening to people. People calling us, sending emails, text, whatever. You got to run, you got to run, you got to run. We need something. And so Bonnie and I decided when Stacey and we got in to go ahead and run. And this is not about another job. It's not about a career, believe me. This is about making sure that Stacey Abrams is never governor of Georgia. Now, I believe Brian Kemp sold us out. I believe the consent decree, he could have stopped that. He could have given us a special session. He's lied about that. He said, oh no, I don't have the constitutional authority to have a special session. I said, really? Guys, he called a special session last year for redistricting. That was a special session the governor officially called. So the Constitution certainly allows him to do that. And remember, I wasn't trying to change the outcome of the election. What I wanted to do in November was to find out what happened to signature verification. Because only 9 absentee ballots in DeKalb County were rejected because of bad signatures out of 136,000. In Fulton County, only 10 out of 147,000. So voter ID with absentee ballots was non-existent in most Democratic areas. And that's the governor's responsibility, the Secretary of State's responsibility. They didn't do it. More damaging, though, to me, was that no investigation was held. No special session allowed the state legislature to do their job. And since then, no investigation. In May of last year, you've heard about the 2000 Mule movie. Some of you have. Find it online. There's another one called rig2020.com. You can get on there and see this. It's evidence that Zuckerberg put $410 million okay, in the races around to keep Trump from getting elected and a lot of us to get beat. He put $55 million in Georgia, and they went to mobile voting buses primarily. That's money that went straight to election boards in those Democrat counties. And we've got to stop that, and that was allowed to happen by Governor Kemp on his watch. And so what we're doing right now is, it's one thing to be upset, but I promise you there's a way forward. And the way forward is we will, if I get elected in primary, we'll beat Stacey Abrams, because I can indict the Biden administration for all the madness that's going on out here. Think about it. The debacle in Afghanistan, rising inflation. I paid $5 a gas for my truck the other day, and it wasn't diesel. 2 million illegal immigrants. You know what the Democrats call those people, by the way? Voters. Yeah. And so there's a plan here, and we know it, and we ought to fight it. The governor 4 years ago told us he's going to round them up and get us out of here. His pickup must have broke down. I don't know, but it hadn't happened. We have more illegal immigrants in Georgia right now today than Arizona. Let me say it again. We have more illegal immigrants in Georgia than Arizona. So something did not happen. I believe we can fix the voting laws. And it's not the law, it's the enforcement of the law. We are not enforcing the law. I went back and looked at 2016, the presidential race, when Trump got elected and won Georgia. We didn't check signatures back then either. It was the same low level of rejection. You know who the Secretary of State was then? Brian Kemp. So there's a pattern here of not enforcing law. So I will work with the state legislature to try to get and do everything I can to make sure we get a law enforcement agency dedicated to enforcing voting law, period. Today, we don't have that. The GBI is not investigating any of this. They've said it doesn't rise to the level of probable cause, even though you're looking at a video of somebody breaking the law. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But it's bigger than that. I think you have to have these races audited by outside people, and you have to get rid of these voting machines. Now, that's just where I am. But it's bigger than that. There are three other things that I call out as a pattern of this arrogance and this sense of entitlement. If you look at Buckhead, they deserve a vote. If you look at this, the slush fund that the governor had passed that allows him to raise money and to use money in a campaign where his competitor can't, it gives an incumbent the advantage. We went to court, and the court agreed that that was unconstitutional. So they put an injunction on that, and the governor thought, well, I'm bigger than that. I'm going to appeal, if you can believe that. But the worst of all was this RIVIAN deal right here in this area. And I'm not pandering to you guys. I've already been over to Rutledge one time and talked about it. I talked to a lot of people out here. It's not that I'm against jobs. I'm all about that. I know how to do that. I spent a career doing that, creating tens of thousands of good American jobs. There's a right way and a wrong way. This is a wrong way, where you cram it down to a local community's throat without getting engagement. You give all this money to a few people. Do y'all realize there are only a handful of people? And by the way, do y'all know there's a new lottery in the state? You know, we have this Hope Scholarship lottery, right? There's a new lottery. Y'all didn't get a ticket? You didn't get a ticket? Well, evidently, 6 or 7 people over here did, and they got $125 million for 2,000 acres. Now, I can do the math, though. That's $60,000 an acre. Y'all got land? Anybody got land? Anybody's going to sell some land at $60,000? The state's the buyer. The state bought that and gave it to a company that is primarily owned by George Soros. Now, I just think that's all wrong, and it stinks to high heaven, and there's been no answers about it. We still don't know how much money the state has committed to that company over time. But the bottom line is, and I'll take some questions, the bottom line is Bonnie and I got in this race to make sure we have a choice to who's going to stand up to Stacey, because I just don't see how the governor's going to do it. He's divided the party, as I said, and we've got to pull it together. In November of 2020, I did that. I got regular Republicans, women in the suburbs, and the Trump voter. And Trump helped. What Kemp says to me, he says, well, how can David beat Kemp? He can't even beat Ossoff. And I beat Abrams in 18. Well, he beat Abrams in 18 with a Trump endorsement. He doesn't have that now. And oh, by the way, we all pulled behind him. I personally got Trump's endorsement for it. I personally got Trump to come here to help him. We were all in here together to beat Abrams. Well, that isn't the way it is right now. The state's divided. He got booed at the state convention down there, you were there, right?
I was there.
All right, so you know I introduced him, and I was shocked. He got booed off the stage. The other thing I was shocked at, and this is good news, of the 3,400 people there, over 2,000 of them, this is the first time they've ever done anything in politics. That's shocking. They normally have about 700 people there. We had 3,400 people down there. So we're divided. I can bring us together. We're going to do that. We're going to work hard to do that. And I believe we can get this election thing straight now. I want to get rid of the state income tax. I want to get the woke mob from indoctrinating our kids. We can absolutely protect that. This watered down bill that they passed and call it a Parents' Bill of Rights is not what I want. It's not nearly strong enough. I want something more akin to what Florida did. Even that's not as strong as I want. I want legal rights for parents codified in the law when it comes to their kids. And then the last thing is this safety thing. I'm getting beat up now. They say, well, I don't know why David doesn't support law enforcement. That's nonsense. What I'm talking about is the leadership of that. We have fewer state patrol in this state right now than when Brian Kemp got elected. I don't care what he says about, oh, they're my buddies, I love them, we're going to support them, support them, support them. Well, where is that? Education. I just looked. The average cost per student in Georgia is some 35 to 40% less than in other states, the average of other states. So we need to put our money where our mouth is, and right now that's not working out for the governor. When you look at this, 40% increase in rapes and murders in Atlanta this year alone. I told you about the illegal immigrants, but the murder rate in Atlanta right now per capita is higher than Chicago, and Chicago's always been the murder capital of the world, right? Well, our murder rate per capita is higher than theirs. These are things that can be fixed, but not with the current administration. This is a career politician who's doing everything he can to save his job. He's been in elected office for 20 years. And I just think it's time for a change. So we're giving you guys a choice. My admonition is, thank you for coming out today. If you heard something today and you want to convert somebody, use this stuff, but also tell people to vote. This is going to be a low turnout vote. Less than 1 out of 3 Republicans who voted in 2020 will vote in this primary. That's a reality. It's a shock. It's a shame. But if you gave up time to come in here today to hear a few words, then you're caring enough to know what's going on. You probably heard some things today you haven't heard before. Tell people that. Use your address book, whatever, get on cell phone and text, and make sure these people know it. If they don't vote, then they can't complain about what's going on. And that's what I got to. If I wasn't willing to step up and provide some leadership and give people a choice, then I had no reason to complain. So thank you all for being here. Bonnie and I are going to do everything we can to make darn sure Stacey Abrams is not governor of Georgia. Thank you all. Anyway, I'll take a question or two.